Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm pulling kind of a whammy on you. Pulling a whammy, and only a couple of my leadership team members knew that I was going to pull together this quick live stream showing the packing of this CL8 rotary from 1963. And again, when I presented it for sale on behalf of Tom Olson, from Illinois, who works as an attorney down in the land of Lincoln, there was a huge outpouring of interest for this incredibly rare Swedish beauty. And I promised the owner that to put her mind at ease, that I would go ahead and do a live stream of the actual packing of her machine and just demonstrate the care and attention to detail that I put into the packing process to ensure once all the workshop magic is done, that the machine arrives at its destination safely, whether it's traveling to the East Coast, like in the case for Virginia Lee, or whether it is traveling around the world. Most of you know that have been following this channel for quite a while know that I've shipped all over the place, as far away as Japan, Australia, Germany, the UK several times, and Canada, and many, many other places as well. And while the packing method that I use is proven and people clap around the world about how effective and how thoughtful it is in safeguarding the vintage sewing machine, it can still get better. And so you'll see subtle adaptations of the packing process where when someone will ship me a machine, I'll glean something from their packing approach and think, hey, that's really a good idea. I'm going to see if I can implement that and make the packing process even better. And that's part of our CANI principle, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. It's a principle that I learned and adopted while I was working for PepsiCo and for General Motors about a million and a half years ago, when I was working in that type of vocation, that kind of job. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of interaction with you today, but in the process, if you see something or you don't understand something or you want to pose a question about something, Uh, Simply reach out. You can reach out through the live chat, and the leaders that are present will let me know, or you can just reach out directly and save that step and just send me a text message or call and say, hey, when you just did such and such, or could you explain what you just did again in that packing process? I think most of it will be pretty self-evident, but in case you see something or miss something, don't be afraid to reach out. And since the leaders have seen this more than once, they might be able to answer the question for you straight away. So they would be a great initial, place to bounce the question off of. And if they're not sure, just pass the question along, and I'll pause long enough to try to provide an answer to that question. But also a special welcome to Virginia Lee, who went into a major sprint with a number of other individuals and eventually was declared the chosen one. Declared the chosen one by Tom Olson. I kind of left it up to him, and I explained the offers that had been made, other particulars, and he finally settled and said, let's offer it to Virginia Lee. I said, great, I'll let her know. And the rest is history. So let me first of all I'll turn the machine just to kind of reground you to the fact of how amazing this machine is, and then I'll show you the collateral materials, the providential materials that are going to be accompanying the machine and really add so much value to the machine. I kidded with Tom. I said the providential materials we have are probably as valuable, nearly as valuable as the machine. And I think Virginia Lee recognized that straight away. And that's what made her put her toe in the pond and say, I'm really, really wanting this machine bad, and I'm going to find a way to get it. And she did. So, at any rate, I'll rotate the camera, show you the machine again. Then I'll begin the process after I show you the machine and some of those providential materials that Virginia Lee is probably going to keep, not in the carrying case, but probably in a fire safe. I wouldn't be surprised. And again, a special shout out to Susie from Minnesota, who just yesterday was my teammate, in presenting that special live stream of her very cool Japanese machine that we took through a quicker version of Workshop Magic. And when we got done, she said, holy mackerel, that ticking sound and that clicking sound and that pitter patter sound or whatever, it's all gone. So even with a more expedited version of Workshop Magic, it made a big difference for her Japanese machine that she's had in operation with no major difficulties for almost 50 years. But it started to exhibit some symptoms of crying out for Workshop Magic. And so as she was planning a surprise visit to the workshop, she brought along her machine, and we had a chance to work on it together, which was kind of cool. So at any rate, I will stop talking, which is impossible, and we'll focus on Virginia Lee's machine, and then I'll show you some of these materials, and then I'll kind of go silent unless someone reaches out and really, really wants to get my attention about a question, assuming that the leaders can't answer it. Most questions they probably can. So at any rate, that's it. I'm going to move forward. I'll show you the machine, some of the materials, put on a little bit of fun music in the background for me, and then we'll move forward. I'll just tell you this special vintage pamphlet is something that Virginia Lee doesn't even know about. I found it in my material collection on original Husqvarna pamphlets, and I had an extra one specifically about the CL8 that she purchased through Tom Olson by way of the workshop. And so I wanted to include this original pamphlet as well on this machine. And so it's kind of a surprise bonus with this really cool Swedish gal on the front of it. Yeah. So surprise Virginia Lee, another really neat piece of history that ties directly to your machine. Obviously, an original owner's manual for the machine, and then the original envelope that the owner would have received with all of the cool providential materials that I'll show you real quick. And someone had noticed before that the post stamp that they would have run it through the post office and they would have stamped it on back in 1963 was only 1 cent. You can't mail anything for anything close to that now. Original service guarantee for Virginia Lee's machine. Viking sewing machine guarantee as well. And back in the day, they would have covered this CL8 for 25 years, which was pretty standard among manufacturers back then. Everyone kind of fell in line and said, let's do a quarter of a century, and that should be more than adequate. And I would say generally it was. The original purchase paperwork for Virginia Lee's machine, showing that the original owner back in December of 1963, a couple days before Christmas, would have paid about $209 for the machine, but then got a little bit of a rebate, I would assume because they had a machine that they maybe traded in, or maybe it was a Christmas special because it was just days before Christmas. But what an incredible providential document to have. But it gets even better. I feel like I'm doing a Ginsu commercial right now, and I want to say, but there's more. Operators are waiting. Yes. Because then this document right here, which I've never seen before, ever, and it's a profit sharing certificate that would have been given to the original owner. And it's worth, the face value back in 1963 was $100. And as I explained in the live stream, when I presented this machine for sale on behalf of Tom Olson, you could take that number times 5 now, because what was $100 back in 1963 is pretty close to $500 today. And then they've got all the original certificate coupons that run along the side here. Each coupon is worth $10, or was worth $10 back in 1963. Now each of these coupons today would be worth right around $50, right around $50. So an amazing providential treasure trove for Virginia Lee. And I think that was one of the big motivators, as she saw this and this, and she saw this, and then also the original envelope that it was mailed in with a 1 cent stamp on it, along with the surprise today that I'm giving her of this original pamphlet showing her machine as they were marketing it back in the day. And really a neat collage, of providential treasures for a very special Virginia Lee out on the East Coast. And again, she's kind of almost between Pennsylvania and New York. So I'll let her decide, because I know she was planning on joining the live stream today. I'll let her decide whether or not you believe she's a New Yorker or whether you believe she's a Pennsylvanian. I think that's how you would say it, a Pennsylvanian, something like that. So Well, yeah, I'm going to get into the packing process now. Again, I won't be interacting a lot with all of you. And so I'll just say enjoy watching. If any questions crop up, bounce it off of the leaders first. And if they're not quite sure or they want to default to me, then they can do that. That's perfectly fine. All right, I'm going to try to fit all this carefully back into the envelope. I mean, you can do the math. This is from 1963, so this envelope is about almost 61 years old. So I'm trying to be very gentle with it. Be very gentle with this envelope. Whoo! I got it in there. All right. So I'm going to set all of this to the side because when I'm packing the machine, I concentrate on the machine first, and then I do the bed, I do the foot controller, and I do all the other ancillary things. So just hang in there as I go through the process. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to one of the leaders and type it in the chat. Otherwise, if they're not sure or otherwise, they'll bounce it off of me and I'll do my best to answer it. Okay. All right. Let me get all this out of the way. The other thing I'll show you real quick. This is the beautiful extension bed. Obviously, I'll be packing that with the machine. I'm going to set the providential stuff to the side, but I also made a special offer at the time because Tom Olson has been a good friend, a great customer. And so I mentioned in that live stream when I presented this CL8 from 1963 that if someone wanted to jump forward and scoop it up from Tom Olson, that I would throw in a complimentary pair of the Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. And so Virginia Lee is also going to get a brand new set of these beautiful tailoring scissors as well for whatever sewing project she wants to apply them to. And then I always throw in a special book as well. This one is called Sewing with Nancy, 10, 20, 30 minutes, sew for your home. And those of you that don't know it, Nancy Zeman was an icon in the state of Wisconsin for the longest time. She had a sewing center down near Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. She had a program on public television as well. And she was just a beautiful lady that she had adversity in her life. She had an aphasia from a stroke she had. You could always see it on her face, but her beautiful smile always pushed past any physical limitations that she might be facing. Just a beautiful spirited gal. I don't remember what year she passed away, but she's now, what I'll say now is she's got a beautiful sewing suite in heaven now, and she's probably teaching classes a lot like our friend over in Salt Lake City that has those really cool FOF 7530s that I've been restoring for her and replacing circuit boards on. So Virginia Lee will get this very special book. I'll write something personal inside directly to her, and then she can have this as a keepsake and hopefully apply some of the ideas that Nancy Zeman came up with as well in enhancing things that will benefit her home as well. So I'm really excited to present this. There's Nancy right there. What a beautiful gal. Beautiful gal. Okay, so let me move that along with the Guggenheim scissors out of the way. And I'll also let you know that I also changed the calibration. You might remember when I presented this machine for sale, I had it set up with silk thread, if I remember correctly. I had it set up with silk thread, and when I was sewing with the silk thread, just like I recently explained to everybody when I was sewing with the 100% cotton thread, certain threads will pose problems or challenges for a sewing machine depending on the materials you're sewing on. And so to set it up in a more neutral way in less of a challenging way, I set this machine back up with polyester, 100% dual duty XP thread from Joanne Fabrics, and I recalibrated everything on the machine because most people are going to be more likely to be sewing with a poly based thread than with a silk or 100% cotton. And it could always be adjusted again to accommodate a specialty thread. But I figured that Virginia Lee would much prefer to have it set up with a nice 100% polyester thread by Coates and Clark versus me leaving the silk stuff on there and her starting out kind of battling, figuring out how to best embrace the uniqueness of that thread. I think I said that pretty nice. It's a challenging thread, just like the rayon thread as well. So you can breathe a sigh of relief, Virginia. The machine is set up with 100% poly thread, as most sewists would use typically, and it's been all recalibrated. And she is sewing up a storm now without any limitations or any boundaries. So that's great news too. And I'll have to remember to put out a couple of hats in the packing process. I don't know if you wear hats, but maybe someone in your family does, Virginia, and that way you can get one of Susie's hats as well. As a matter of fact, she just brought some new hats when she came to the workshop and was in the workshop yesterday. I'll put those out, and in the live chat, if you could, there's a gnat. There's a gnat trying to invade our packing process here. If you could let me know which one you prefer, and I'll go ahead and pack that with your machine. Okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me move it back to the machine again, and I'll get my hat back on. And the only other thing I was going to show you is I'll also be including this original accessory box as well that would have come with the CL8. It's got a bunch of goodies in here, including the bobbin that has that silk thread on it. If Virginia Lee ever gets bored and she wants to pop the bobbin in with silk thread, she can certainly do that. Extra bobbins, extra attachments, all kinds of goodies in here for her to put to use with this incredibly rare CL8 from 1963. And all of this will be packed in the process today as well. Yeah, foot controller, obviously. I'll move that to the side for right now. All right, well, I'm going to put on a little bit of music for me, and then I'm going to start to launch into this packing process. I have a couple of text messages. Let me see what they are. They are from Susie, and I typed in there that I beat her, and I did, but on her screen it's showing that her good afternoon came in before my purple hand, but on my screen it shows the purple hand. So I don't know. I think YouTube knows our challenge contest, and YouTube is messing around with us. That's probably it. But if some of you in the live stream right now, if you want to be a validation source and tell us what you see on your screen, scroll all the way to the top of the chat and see whether or not you see my fuchsia purple hand waving first, or whether you see Susie's good afternoon. On my screen, it shows my hand, my purple hand, and on hers, it shows something different. That way we can take the preponderance of input and say, who won. I really don't care who won. I'd be a gentleman and give it to Susie anyway, but I'm just curious how YouTube is displaying this stuff and what you see on your screen at the very beginning of the chat. So at any rate, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to start on the packing process. And again, just interject with questions if you have any, and I'll be glad to answer them if the leadership team doesn't feel equipped or comfortable in doing it. Yeah. All right. That's enough of that. Okay, here we go. I think I'll pick something other than Irish music. Let's see, what do I have? Polka. I think I'll put on some polka music. All right. That ended perfectly. So anyway, somebody help me know what Virginia picked. I'm hoping Virginia can voice a preference either in the live chat or by sending me a text, and then I can set aside one of these hats that Susie just finished making over in Minnesota and send it along with this great 1963 CL8. Okay? Yeah, baby. There you go. I'll set all these to the side until I hear one way or the other. And I just saw a text come in from Virginia Lee saying she wants the gray one. So I'm going to set the gray one aside. I almost took you out. Hopefully you can hear me. What I'm going to say is you have to really be careful with the foot controller and with the accessory box because they're in a very, very tight compartment space in the carrying case. And you have just millimeters of clearance. And if you make them too heavy with packing material, they won't fit in those cubbies. So that's why you see me kind of trimming it down. I'm looking for some different music. I'm getting bugged by it now. All right, what else do I have? I think I'll move to Italian now. Italian music for packing. We're getting really close. We're getting really, really close. I didn't hear the text come in. We have a text. Let's check real quick here. Oh, these are old text messages. The one from Virginia Lee indicating she wanted the gray hat, and then one from a customer. So no messages, no questions. I guess I've done a fairly good job of showing you kind of what this looks like. Now, the things that we still have to do, you can see as you look at it here, it's going to give us a solid 1.5 to almost 2 inches of a barrier, plus that extra layer of close-knit bubble wrap on the bottom as well. So it's going to give it a real nice cushion, real nice cushy ride all the way out to Pennsylvania/New York. So what I'm going to do next, and I'm just looking at the time, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the extension bed, and that will go inside of the tote next to the major connection here of the machine, the major package of the machine, if you will. So the extension bed will go here in the tote. Then we also have the Guggenheim scissors. We've got the special Nancy Zeman book as well that has to go in there. And what else do we have? Here we go. I'll bring it over so I don't forget anything. Along with the original sew-offs that we did with the silk thread, which were a little bit of a challenge, but the machine still did a fabulous job with such a difficult thread to work with. So in the tote, on the bottom, will go a bed of packing peanuts. This will go on top of there. Then this will get wrapped with stretch wrap and also bubble wrap, and will go inside of the tote next to the case, along with Susie's hat, the Guggenheim scissors. And then last but not least, I'll go ahead and write a nice note to Virginia Lee inside of this really cool Nancy Zeman book. I'll have to figure out where I'm going to write it, but I'll write it somewhere in here. A nice little note to Virginia. All of this will go inside of the tote, and then I'll use a process around the lid where I drill 3 across here, 3 across there, 3 across here, 3 across there, and then I use zip ties to hold that lid on securely. And from what customers have said, they have a heck of a time getting those zip ties off. So I've started doing that instead of what I used to do, where I would go stretch wrap around the container, and it took quite a bit more time and wasn't nearly as sturdy. So that's how I'm going to kind of wrap this up. All of this, 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 and last but not least, this are going to all go individually into that tote with the machine here. And then it'll start heading towards Virginia Lee. So I'm not going to take any more of your valuable time. I appreciate everyone jumping into a kind of an impromptu packing marathon. I feel like I need an energy drink right about now, but you've got an idea of what it looks like and why, I'm continuing to try to improve on it. But at the same time, it's very, very good the way it is. And it's gotten machines around the world more than once. So I trust that once I get done with everything, get this inside of that heavy duty tote and secure the lid, and then turn it over to the capable hands of either FedEx or UPS and insure it for a lot of money. It's going to be insured for a very high amount. They're going to be very nervous about it until they hand it over to Virginia Lee, and she says, "Okay, boys, I got this. Move on." Ha ha! That's kind of what you'll do probably, but you'll say it with a lot more grace and a lot more charm. So thanks for watching. I won't hang on to you to do this little bit left. You've seen the bulk of it, and it's built a little bit like a tank right now. So I think it'll be nice and safe. And then Virginia Lee can send us some pictures and let us know what kind of fun things she's doing with this great machine. And Virginia Lee also sent me a picture that she took yesterday during the live stream of Susie and myself. And I got to share that because I thought it was really cool. Let me see if I can find it. Both of us in this moment in time, both Susie and myself at this moment in time look a little bit like we're waiting for a bus in New York or somewhere, some big city like that, but we're not sure it's the right bus. Now visualize that scene. Susie and I are waiting to jump on a bus, maybe to head back to the workshop, a long, long ride. But we're not sure if it's the right bus. Check out these faces. Is it bus number 2 or bus number 3? Or was it 3-2 or 2-3? I got no idea. Good thing Susie packed a lunch. Whenever Susie travels, she said she always packs something to eat and something to drink just in case. So I think we got it covered. We probably will get on the right bus. I hope we are. Otherwise, we'll call Emma, since Emma knows the East Coast pretty well, and say, which bus are we supposed to be on? Or we'll contact Ginny, or we'll contact Christine or one of the other leadership team members. Maybe we'll reach out to Tim and Teresa and say, guys, help. Because right there, we're not looking too confident. So anyway, thanks for that screenshot, Virginia Lee. That's really cool. All right, y'all. Stay tuned for another live stream soon. Not sure what I'm going to present yet, but I'll probably present something, because as I get ready for my transition, our number of live streams before I go dark for not an extended period of time, but for a while, it's getting really, really short before I go dark for a while. So then you'll be watching reruns. And if you've got a way to contact the other leaders, you'll be reaching out to them and say, have you heard anything from Scott? Do you know what's going on with Scott? Yeah, it'll be a dark time for a while, but I'll eventually resurface like the phoenix out of the ashes and go, hey, I'm back. Take care, everybody. God bless. And thanks to the leaders for taking care of the family so well while I was over here trying to not get myself caught up in bubble wrap or stretch wrap or packing tape. You saw me get snagged a couple of times, but I escaped unscathed. Yeah. It's what professionals do. I'm not sure how I did it, but whatever. All right. See ya. And thanks again to Virginia Lee. Congratulations on this amazing machine, which you can't even see anymore, but it's in there. I promise you. All right. Bye. I'll put on some more music. I think I'll put on more music if I find more music. We already did Irish. We already did Italian. We didn't do Space Odyssey yet. Oh, I think we'll do marching music, military. Yeah, let's end with marching music. Here we go. I know, Dr. Singer, I should not have cut my fingernails. Ugh.